Alright, hello, welcome to my first video with me with my hockey scratchy voice. I apologize, but you'll need to get used to it because this is how I talk all winter. We're going to talk about running for office. So you say you want to be president, huh? Well, we have to understand what goes into that. Not even president, just at the low level, what amount of work it takes to get elected to city council, to mayor, to any of those things. And so we're going to talk about first the organizations, because it's not an individual that runs a campaign. This is a career. You can go into being a campaign activist, a campaign worker, an organizer, a speechwriter. There are a ton of things you can do to be a part of this, because it is a complex organization. The main thing is this, and we saw this in the Obama election, especially in Colorado, they're what they call the ground game. The ability to get the message out, the ability to get people focused. So you think you have the right ideas, you have the right answers. How do you communicate that to the electorate? Well, you're going to rely on campaign workers. A lot of them, honestly, are going to be volunteers who believe in you. So again, we're trying to find people that can inspire and motivate and lead people. A lot of this is done by canvassing. We call it a canvas because it's covering something. We canvass neighborhoods. We hand out literature. We try to get people to the polls. We make phone calls. We try to get the message out. Think about our election that we simulated with Klobuchar and Klein. People voted for people from different parties, not because they believed in them or in their ideology, but at the high school, really, people didn't know them other than they knew their name. They'd never heard of the other two candidates. Advertising, then, you see, is critical. How do you get your product, your candidate out? How do you get people to know who it is? Brand recognition, name recognition. And again, we use propaganda. We talked about that in class, and we're going to study that a little bit more, but this idea of convincing people, swaying their opinions. Ignore that. It drives me nuts. Financing a campaign, then. My apologies. If you look on the right, this is the amount of money that was spent in the 2008 campaign. I don't have the up-to-date one because they're still tabulating all those numbers, so next year I'll tell them what happened in 2012. But the big message is this: it's incredibly expensive to run a campaign. Think about the game you played. The first thing you had to do was get money, and so you needed to go to the big states. This takes up a ton of time for our candidates because of the overwhelming cost. At the local level, if you're going to run for a local office, you need to get a couple $1,000s. You want to run for city council, you're going to have to be able to fundraise a couple $1,000s to get local radio ads, local signs, flyers, to get people to help you with the volunteer hours, things like that. You still need to have money even if you're going to rely on volunteers. If you're going to run for Congress, there are 535 members of Congress, and so what we see is, 435 members of Congress. What we see is a substantially larger amount than we'll see for the local. You need millions of dollars, and it's getting towards the tens of millions of dollars, but still at this point, it's in the millions of dollars. If you want to run for president, it is astronomical. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. In 2004, George Bush raised $274 million. If you look on the right, here's my mouse, the fundraising, McCain, the Republican candidate in 2008, raised $368 million. So in just 4 years, it was almost an additional $100 million. John Kerry raised $253 million. If you look at the mouse again, President Obama raised $745 million. Obama raised and spent almost twice as much money, actually a little bit more than twice as much money, as John McCain. And he raised 3 times as much as his Democratic counterpart did just 4 years earlier. So where does the money come from? Well, it mostly comes from private sources, meaning individuals, people like you and me. We find a candidate that we believe in, and we raise money for them. Party organizations get together. Boy, I'm really sorry about this. Party organizations get together, and they have a way to tap into the electorate. They have a way to tap into their grassroots campaign. You're a Democrat, they'll hit you up forever for money. Same with Republicans. This is called soft money if it's sent directly to the political party. It's called soft because it's unlimited. You can raise as much money as you want if it's given to the party. Corporations give money. Corporations are legally treated like individuals, especially as we look at the ruling in Citizens United. Interest groups, and we're going to talk about them in the next PowerPoint. People and organizations behind a movement, pro-life, pro-choice. Most famous group that we've had for interest groups, Prohibition. Political action committees have seen a huge rise. These are organizations that are established by interest groups to funnel money to candidates. Not directly, but they're the ones who run the majority of these ads. They have an unlimited amount of money that they can raise. They spend huge amounts of money, primarily on TV ads, to get people to understand why they should vote for or against a candidate. Wealthy candidates can spend their own money to get elected. There's no limit on how much money you personally can spend on getting elected. New York mayor is Bloomberg. He's famous for his news and media conglomerate, his organization. He spent $73 million of his own money to become mayor of New York City. Now, you become mayor because that's a stepping stone to try and work your way up to becoming president, especially of a major city like New York. Public financing is an option. Public means from taxpayers. They can apply for public funding from the campaign. In other words, they take taxpayer money and they give it to the candidates. The problem is it limits the amount candidates can spend to $44 million. And while $44 million sounds like a lot of money, when you compare it to Obama in 2008, who raised $753 million, you can see you have no shot at winning. There's absolutely no chance. All right. I know I went quack. That doesn't make any sense. I know I went quick. Feel free to pause it. Feel free to go back and listen to it again. Thank you.